Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Sorry about any confusion at the last minute. I had to cancel one live and reset up another live because of some changes that I did on my channel. Come on in. Changes I did on my channel the other day. We've got a visitor today.
Hi.
It is this little one's birthday coming up in a couple of days, and ask your mom. I haven't. Did you not take it to West Virginia with you?
I did.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Look in the van then. And she just got back from a trip to a week in West Virginia with her grandpa, with my wife's dad, and his wife and aunt and a bunch of other family there. So my wife went and picked her up today, and I forgot I had made a change to my YouTube channel the other day where I changed the format of it so it's set up as a brand now and not a personal channel. And that caused everything to get on the live that I'd set up before I made that change to get all mixed up. So sorry about that. Hopefully everybody has made it back over to this one. Let's see here. Who do we got with us today? Rob, welcome. What is going on with everything is running super slow and weird right now. So hopefully that doesn't continue. Corey, welcome. Hopefully that explains what happened. Ray, good to have you. Hopefully everybody is able to find us. Kings of the City, welcome. No, I didn't get hacked. Hopefully everything is smooth. I adjusted some of the settings on comments. So if I'm gonna do some scrolling to try to keep up to make sure that nothing sneaks past like we had last week. So we'll hopefully that change works. So It is it's a setting on the live on YouTube, and we'll see how we're at. Let's see here. VTI 50. Thoughts on the Axopar 37 cross cabin. So I'm not sure that it was the 37. Cabin Axopar. I've inspected one at the Charlotte Boat Show, and I actually inspected several. That it was Jeff Brown Yachts was the dealer that was repping them at the Charlotte Boat Show. So it's I'll say European, but I want to say it's like a Danish company. Let's see, where are they out of? For those that aren't aware, we've talked about them a couple times. They kind of think of them as explorer boats or adventure boats is the way they refer to them. Exo has similar, but you're seeing them in the marketplace in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years. A little bit more common, and they are out of. Sometimes they don't like to say on their American website where they're out of. But Nordic countries. So yeah, somewhere up there. I want to say it was Norway or Denmark or something like that. But anyway, here was my thoughts on them. Vidi 50 is they appeared to be very, very well made boats. When you looked at the details in the cabin, when you looked at the construction part that you can see, the hardware that you can see, they appeared to be very, very well built boats, and they appeared to be exactly what they built them for, to go out, to handle the rough chop, to do, whether it's diving, whether it's to go, we'll call it boondocking on the water, where you go and you're heading out, you're putting your bikes on the boat, you're putting your fishing rods on the boat, you're staying on the boat, and you're going to some remote island, or you're going to some remote anchorage, and you're gonna just spend the couple 3-4 days, and you might run into some slop. So you've got the pilot house. Let's see what that 37 cross cabin looks like, because like I said, I'm not sure. I inspected a 28, and I think it was a 37 that they had there, but I think they had, I don't remember what it was. It may have been the Sun Top, but let's see what that cross cabin looks like. It was not this one, but it's the same hull, different topside configuration. Overall, I was impressed. I didn't run it, which is, I think, a big reason why you would go with a boat like this, is because, hey, I want this to handle some of the sloppiest conditions. I don't know what they call the shape of the bow, but that thing is it's gonna break up any waves. It's gonna send it flying, and it's gonna give you as good of a ride, I would imagine, on a 37 as you can get, strictly because of that bow shape. And if you look, let's go to some of the images here. So this is somewhat for Vidi 50 and somewhat for others, because it's a different style of boat. Let's see. It seems as though, yeah, you can see how that. Oh crap! I'm not even sharing the right screen. I thought I shared. Sorry about that. I've been present screen share when entire screen. That's what I want to share. Okay, so I'm going to go small on me and big on that. So if you look at the bow, you can see how it's sort of a different shape right there. and that's not a catamaran, that's a second boat. So just look at that blue hull. But it's kind of like the bulbous hull that you would find on a ship, where that bulb up front breaks up the wave. It's that same concept that's happening here. You've got this big leading edge that's going to break up the wave, and it's really, really narrow up at the bow, and it's going to just slap those waves apart and give you a nice smooth cut. So if you look at that, and then you've got give me that shot again. Then you've got some of the chines there that are also going to slap that down. Anything that runs down here on this part, those chines, and this picture it's showing the roof rack, but it's the best one to show the chine lines. You can see those like right there, and right there, there's another set that lead down into kind of the strakes chine mix that is going to give you slapping that water down. So it's going to give you a great ride, a fairly dry ride. You've got the pilot house, which is going to keep you comfortable. And they were also decked out for luxury. So a good crossover adventure, luxury, and smooth, comfortable, dry ride. And again, that's all without running the boat. But my initial impression was positive. And I inspected, they had 3 or 4 of them at the show. I got on all of them. I did a video, which for some reason, I haven't released that yet, but I do have a video walk around. Come here. You got to talk. You don't just linger in the background. What do you need?
I won.
You won? All right. Good job. We just had a Monopoly that was broke. Throw that away if it needs to.
No, you need to glue it.
Okay. Then put it back. We had a little Monopoly fest before. I jetted early and handed off my property and my money to my daughters and put the rest in free parking. And so they were battling it out. My oldest won by just a little bit. So anyway, a good solid boat, not knowing how you're going to use it. But if you're drawn to that, it's partly the looks, partly the adventure, partly the just being a different style of boat that you're interested, I would imagine. And so I would assume you are searching. If you are liking that style, XO boats, again, they're we'll call it a Nordic country. I don't know where they're out of. The XO crossover. I have not inspected these, but this is the first one that I found of this style that I came across. And again, similar design, similar hull structure, similar concept, but you're starting to see these style of boats come over into the States if that's where you are. Yes, last week was terrible. So hopefully the changes that we made and that is valuable. Question: will 5200 provide enough adhesion for transponder board on the transom? Yes, it will. 5200 is nearly, it'll make a stronger bond if you apply it properly. And it'll tear the gel coat and the fiberglass lamination if you're trying to get it off. It'll be easier to break that bond in the lamination or the gel coat to the fiberglass or even the fiberglass layers than it will be to separate the transponder board with the gel coat if that's where you're mounting it. So that will do the trick. Welcome, Matt. Good to have you. Jerry, today I learned how to dock my boat via spring lines to pivot back off the dock. Yes, I was just gonna, but as I read that, I was like, I teach that in my best boat captain training. And it works incredibly well. And Jerry, you didn't even, I did a better version of it in the twin engine that I demonstrated with the partner, which is on your boat. It's probably a 2-person maneuver. And it is, it is a valuable tool to have in your toolbox if you can. I'm not going to be able to log in. Along with the brand changes on the YouTube channel, I changed some other stuff on my computer that goes with it, and so I'm not going to be able to log in and show you that video in the best boat cap. Well, actually, you know what? I can on this one. Let me see if I can show that. So this is for those of you that haven't been in. This is where all the trainings reside on my system, training at boatersecretweapon.com. And so these are all the best boat captain trainings. I think I've got access to it. Yeah. So this is me talking through the spring line technique. And I'm not gonna make you suffer through me talking. We'll see if it'll play or if it's not gonna like that or not. Here we go. We'll go to the split screen if it's gonna work. And with the twin engine, you got the advantage of the and you can see we got a little bit of wind on this one pushing from this way, but you pivot right out. And it is a super powerful one if you get in a tight situation where you're getting blown on, or you got boats on the front and back of you, and you're getting you don't have a lot of room to maneuver. This is the one that usually beats me at Monopoly, except for the last time. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Say goodbye.
He's really bad at Monopoly.
Get out. Love you. All right. She also earned some money today helping me power wash the driveway and the back patio. So she was, despite, I'll get it to you. See it. So despite beating me in Monopoly, she has been very helpful in getting stuff done. She wanted to go out on the boat. So we went out of the boat on Friday while her sister was gone. She wanted to go out without her sister and get some boat time. So anyway, that's that. So this is the spring line technique, and we teach it in all of the training programs. The twin engine one you do slightly different because you've got the twin engine, so you might as well use that to your advantage. But it's really amazing if you've got a boat in the front and a boat to your rear. You can just pull yourself right out, or which I'm guessing is what happened in Jerry's case, is the wind probably, or the current is pushing you against the dock and it's hard to get off, and he's got a single engine. So you do the same thing. You just turn the wheel to get you that spin out that way. And it is a very powerful tool. One of the many things we teach in the Best Boat Captain program that is practical boater operation, as I like to call it, real world stuff. So, and we've got all of those. So, welcome, Jerry. Glad to hear that you got out on the water up in the Chesapeake. Boater Tom, welcome. Poland. There you go. That's right. Let's see. Tanner says, what's your opinion on safety when comparing V drives to IOs? I really like the Cobalt Chaparral surf boats, but I have friends who say it makes them super nervous. Tanner, I don't see, if it comes to safety with surfing, I mean, there is really no reason to be nervous in my mind. Here's how I would make my decision. Okay. All right. I am just keeping an eye on the comments here. So every now and again, I'll check. So the reverse facing drive, there we go. So it is a stern drive, and you've got the drive that comes out the back. Now, when you look at it, when you look at the boats, that drive is way up here. Let me see if I can get this picture a little bit bigger. That drive is tucked way up under. Why aren't they showing a good picture of that's ridiculous? Let me go to the R6. And I run my father-in-law and mother-in-law have an R5, just the regular stern drive design. I cannot believe that they don't have, that's the best image they have of it. Let's see if this one gives us a little bit of view. I'm going to go full screen on that. But if you look, I'm going to hide your Tanner. I'm going to hide your all right. So that's not going to let me make it. That's as big as I can get. But when you look, you've got that drive is here. So you're probably a good 6-8 inches under that swim platform is where the drive is. Now, it's when I say the drive, it's actually reverse. Let's see if we can get an image of it here. So it's actually this part right here. So it's, yeah, I mean, there's something you could potentially hit your head on, but you got to remember that the boat's moving forward, and even if you get on your front foot and you zip into the boat, you're going to hit that swim platform before you hit anything, because the swim platform's out, and if you fall in the water, you're still going to be missing that. And the part that you really need to worry about are the propellers going around here. That's where the real danger is. I can't imagine, based on how deep this is in the water, I can't imagine that you're going to hit that. And they've been running these forward drives for, what is it, 2023? When did they come out? 2017? When did Volvo introduce the forward-facing drive? Okay, it's 2015. So we're at 8 years now. And at 8 years, you have not heard one single incident, or I haven't anyway, of somebody surfing and getting nicked up at all by the only thing that you could potentially hit is the anti-ventilation plate here. I mean, I guess you could hit down there where the exhaust comes out, but I mean, that's 2.5 feet down in the water. The skeg, 2.5 feet down in the water. I've never heard of anybody hitting those. And if you think about it, you might not know this, but if you follow the Sea-Doo switch in some of the Facebook groups, you're hearing about the switches overturning. Sea-Doo switch capsizing. So this boat's been out for 2 years, and you're hearing situations of flipping over. Let's see if that will give us, yeah. I don't know if I'm not going to get into my Facebook to show you, but there are stories on going around in the Facebook groups about these Sea-Doo switches flipping over. Now, in my opinion, 100% user error. It's people that are going wide open throttle and hammering it down, loading it up with too much weight and taking turns too fast. The boat shouldn't be driven that way. Now, part of it is because it's just lock to lock. And if you're used to driving a jet ski, you're used to zipping it around. Well, you've got all that weight and that's flipping them over. It's not a major issue. I wouldn't even say necessary. I'm not a fan of the switch, but for me, but I don't think it's a design flaw. It's not something that they were made to drive that way. It's operator error. Just like I could wreck my truck if I loaded it down with a ton of weight and did a sharp turn, going 50, that's going to flip my truck. Not because my F-150 is poorly built. It's because you're not supposed to operate it that way. But we were hearing that with the boat that's 2 years old and only has maybe 2,000 of them on the water. And there are well over 2,000 of these forward-facing drives on the water, I would imagine, at this point after 8 years. And I've never heard a single issue of somebody running into it. Now, the V drives, there's zero issue. It's so far under the boat that you've got to swim under there without a life jacket on to hit it. But in my mind, there's zero safety issue with this and zero safety issue with the V drive. So I would choose it. Here would be my choice. This is where I was trying to go with it before I got sidetracked, is if I want a boat just to surf on, I'm going with the V drive all day long. It's going to surf better for sure. No, even the cheapest one you can find is going to surf better than a Cobalt or a Chaparral with the forward facing drive. They're surf boats. If I want to surf really well and have a smoother, comfortable ride going in rough chop, and I'm going to do some cruising, and surfing is going to be 30, 40, maybe 50% of my lifestyle, but the other 50+% is going to be just general pleasure boating, and I'm going to be on somewhat of a rough water, then I'm going to go with the reverse facing drive because it surfs great. Not as good as a V drive, but it surfs great. But it also gives me a smoother, more comfortable ride because I have the ability to trim. And that's going to be where I would make my choice. Safety, I'm not thinking about safety. They're both safe. I'm thinking about what else I'm going to be doing on the boat. And that's how I would make my decision. Surfing 90%, well, it's going to be hard pressed to beat a true V drive surf boat. 50% or less surfing and 50% or more of pleasure boating, cruising, rough chop, putting 8 people on the boat. Then I'm going with the reverse drive. So hopefully that helps in a roundabout way, not finding any of the images that I wanted. And there you go. And plus Cobalt wasn't as much, but if you look in this image, you can see where the drive comes and where the swim platform ends. Most of them are tucked well up under the that swim platform. The Cobalt's was really cut weird, I thought. It almost looks like they've got their metal rails, which I don't like those. I understand they look nice, but when it comes to, I don't functionally, to me, they're in the way a little bit. But the way that one image looked is it almost looks like it's cut in, and that drive's not as tucked away as it is on some of the other models. But Cobalt's a tough boat to beat, for sure. All right, let's go to the next one. Insult Investor, welcome. Just got a Marathon 24 for $500. I do not know what a Marathon 24 is, so let's check that out. Marathon 24. I'm going to say it's a center console would be my guess, but I don't know that for a fact. Let's see here. Oh, it gave me pictures of the 1924 Marathon. Not what I'm looking for. Boats are the 1985. Oh, okay. Let's see. Looks like a walk around. Very nice. So something like that, I would assume. It almost looks like it's a if this is the right style, it almost looks like a bridge, like you're driving up from the bridge, and that gives you a bigger cabin down below. Interesting. If that's what it is, and this one's an 85 for 3,000. Who knows what kind of condition? But that's awesome and enjoy it. Let's see if there is. Yeah, okay. So it does sort of have that. It's not really a bridge boat, but it it looks like the helm is raised slightly to give you some more room down in that cuddy. Let's see if there is a. I always like to check out some of these different style of boats that I don't know. Oh, that's it. I can't tell if that's going to be a stern drive or if it's an inboard. But anyway, congratulations, the insult investor. I actually did the tight parallel park between two dock boats. Yes, two person maneuver. When you've got that big, you can on a smaller boat. On a smaller boat, you can get away with doing it by yourself if you can get forward and back easily. But if you don't know, Jerry's got a 28 Regal Express Cruiser, which means you got to leave the helm, jump up through the. I think it's got a walk through windshield, climb up over the walk-through windshield, get up on the front, on the bow, and handle the lines there, which you don't really want that thing in gear while you're up moving around. So that is awesome that you're able to make that work. Dustin, welcome. Good to have you. Dustin was on last week, if I remember right. Al Nagy used a stern saver that epoxies into the transom, then run a bead of 5,200 around the stern for added insurance. Stern saver. Saver. User mount. Let's see how. Watch this video because I'm. That sound is super loud. I was wondering if his concern was he didn't want to drill into, if he didn't want to drill into the hull, if that was why he wanted to go with 5,200. With 5,200, it's not coming off. Is the one thing you need to remember. So that can be if you need to change that transducer, you're damaging the boat before you can take it off. So that stern saver pad, you could probably attach that the same way and then attach your transducer to that. So if you need to change it out, that's a Dustin or Al, if that's what you're talking about, that is a smart addition to the comment. Thank you for that. That is actually a much better alternative. Mount the transducer without making holes in your boat. Let's see dimensions. Less than 5 minutes to install clean surface. Okay, so that's just a press and stick mount, which is interesting. With rough curved surface, here's a backing from the stern pad cannot be fully bonded. Installation must be level, smooth, clean. And again, if you go that route, make sure that it is 100% follow the step-by-step cleaning procedure. Probably using something to strip it down, take off any wax, take off any grease, anything that's going to keep it from really bonding well. Yes. But what Al said about having mounting that in, because if you do need to change it, you're going to be hard pressed to get that off. So this way you can actually, if you need to change out your transducer, great. Just remove it from that mount pad, and that mount pad's permanently affixed. It's fine if it stays there blank, or if you change the transducer, add anything else over time. Awesome. Let's see here. Rocker Big Joe, how do you feel about propping out an IO 3 or 4? What pitch do you recommend? 20-foot open bow. Rocker, that is way too difficult of a question to answer in a situation like this. Here's what I would say. It depends. It depends on a ton of different things. One, it depends on what performance characteristics do you want out of your boat. So, a 3-blade is going to get you quicker out of the hole. It's going to give you a hole shot if that's what you need. A 4-blade is going to give you higher top end speed. It's the if you think about it, the 3-blade's going to get up to RPM faster. The 4-blade's going to take a little while, but once it does, then it's really going to spin through. When it comes to pitch, again, it depends. Do you want hole shot or do you want top end speed? There are so many things. What I would say is, if you want the best performance, go with a good OEM prop. Don't go with a cheap prop. Now, do you want stainless steel or aluminum? Depends. Do you run in a body of water that you're likely to hit some underwater obstruction? And well, then maybe not, but maybe you want to go with an aluminum prop, because if you're likely going to hit something, that aluminum prop is going to get dinged up and you can have it rebuilt or get a new one for cheaper. Versus if you have a stainless steel and you hit a stump or a rock, well, now you could tear up some things in your lower unit, or at minimum, you knock your prop out of alignment and now you've got to send that off, or you've got to get a new stainless prop, which can be, $700, $1,000, $1,500, depending on exactly what it is. So there's material, stainless steel or aluminum. What do you want there? If you're in a big, deep body of water and you want better performance, I'll say, because it's more rigid, stainless steel. They're more expensive though. If you've got something that you're gonna run into stumps, rocks, and you've got things like obstructions that you're gonna hit, I may lean to an aluminum prop in a lot of situations, because I'm likely going to ding my prop up. It's going to be cheaper to repair. And if I do hit something really bad, I'd rather sacrifice my prop or my prop hub than sacrificing the gears causing problems. 2-blade versus 3-blade. We talked about that. Speed versus out of the hole shot. And then pitch is the same type of thing. Speed versus hole shot. The bigger one is get the right material and then get the right, a good OEM prop. Mercury, Yamaha, both make good props. And that's the direction I would go. I wouldn't go with a cheap prop unless you're going with an aluminum and you got a lot of stumps and a lot of rocks and a lot of things you're going to hit, and top end performance isn't what's most important to you. Then, well, maybe I would go with a cheaper aluminum and I would give up a little bit of performance, because it's likely I'm going to have to rebuild this prop, or I'm likely going to have to put a new one on multiple times a year. I just read this again. Feel it. Okay, propping out. I thought that said popping out an IO. Popping out, I'm going to go lower pitch to get me to those RPMs quicker. Again, run the boat when you're doing the propping. You got to run your boat at load and get your RPM set to your max wide open throttle RPM setting. So if that's, let's say it's 5,500, 6,000, 6,500, depending on what kind of 6,200, depending on what you got. You want to make sure that you're just getting that top end RPM out of it without hitting your rev limiter. If you're by yourself, like that's kind of one or two people on the boat. If you load it down with a bunch of people, well, then maybe I want to hit that rev limiter with 3 or 4 people in the boat if that's going to be my lightest load, but usually I have 6 or 7 people in the boat. So that you're hitting that higher end RPM where you're letting that motor get as much out of it as you can versus bogging down, if that makes sense. Bradley Jackson, welcome. Good to have you. First time seeing that name in here. Tanner, oh, you're welcome. Glad that was valuable for you. Let's see. Bradley says, do you think 2017 Regal 32 Express with the 200 good family boat on the Gulf of Mexico, reliable, holds value? All right. So I see Jerry jumped right on that one. Oh, okay. That was Jerry has a 2020, 20, I think it's a 2020, 280 Express cruiser, that he loves, was out on it today. It sounded like, but, so couple of things. It depends, as with all of my answers will depend on a lot of different things. So a good family boat in the Gulf of Mexico, if depends how big your family is, if you're going to overnight on it or use that cabin, it's going to get hot down the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe when you go out, you want to have that air conditioning available. I would assume a 32's got a generator for sure, which means you can run the AC away from shore power. Do you want to overnight on it? Do you want to use it as a condo on the water? Great option. It's a 2017, so it's 5-6 years old. All depends on the condition. How well was it taken care of? Did they flush that engine? Have they done the risers and manifolds? If they even did or didn't, it's coming up 7-8 years is probably a time you need to at least be inspecting it. 5, 6, 7 years. So before I bought a boat that was like that, I would have those inspected, bore scope, or pulling them and do a visual inspection with them. A good Volvo technician or Mercruiser, if it's got Mercruisers, can do that for you. Then I would check all of the systems on the boat. This video is one that you definitely want to watch. So this video right here, wow, my voice sounds weird on that one. Watch this video. It's a 36-minute video, and that will be valuable. You've got to check the air conditioning, the generator. You've got to check the fresh water system. You've got to check the gray water system, the black water system. You got to check the electronics. You got to check the structure. You got to check the engine, the mechanical. You got to check the cabin to make sure no water intrusion, nobody left a hatch open, or there's not a leak somewhere. There's a ton of things you got to check. Maybe even doing a survey would make good sense on a boat that's 5-6 years old. There can be some crazy things that happen, and it's probably well worth the $1,000 or so it's going to cost you to have that boat surveyed by a good quality independent surveyor. Is it reliable? All depends on how well it was maintained. Does it hold its value? All depends on how well you maintain it. So the cruiser market is slowed down, but that means that there's not a ton of used ones on the market. And there's still a group of people that enjoy that cruiser lifestyle. So I would say it's going to hold its value as well as any other cruiser on the market right now in that category. Sea Ray, Regal are probably the top two as far as in that express cruiser category that you're going to find. Last recommendations are, think about how you're going to use the boat and grab the free Boat Buyers Toolkit. You can go to boatbuyerstoolkit.com and get that. It's got a lot of questions to ask, checklists, demo. Make sure you run the boat on the water, run all the systems. We talk about that in the video. We talk about that in the toolkit that you get. But I would think about, what does the 20% of the time look like that we're going to use the boat? How big is my family, and are they going to bring friends? My girls like to bring a friend along. We try to limit it to one friend each, so that gives us 6 on the boat. We're comfortable. they've got somebody to keep them entertained. My wife and I can relax a little bit and let them jump off the boat a million times and have a blast, do some tubing or wakeboarding or whatever. And we've got plenty of room to move around, or maybe have another family. So think about that. Are you going to invite people? Well, if you're a family of 5, let's say, and your 3 kids each bring a friend, now that's 8 people on the boat. A 32 Express is big enough to hold 8 people, but not a ton more. Regal Express 32. And what I look for is I look for, where are the butts going to go in the seats? So if we look at, and I don't know what the beam on these Regals are. I'm going to guess it looks like it's got a little bit of beam to it, maybe 9 feet. All right. So if we look at, well, all right. If we look at butts in seats, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a full boat. So if your number is going to be less than 8, you're probably in pretty good shape. Let's see, we got 3 there and one's a little kid. We got 2 there, little kids. That looks comfortable for 5. Yeah, 5, 6, 7. I would guess there's room for 8 there. Looks like that's a flip-flop seat. So depending on how much you want to stretch out, where are you going to sleep? Well, count the sleeping spaces if you're going to truly overnight on the boat. 1, 2, I assume 3 here. Maybe if they want to sleep under that little, oh, no, that V is going to keep that. I was thinking maybe a little kid could sleep across there. 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is the aft cabin, which goes up under the stairs. So you got sleeping for 5. Now, the person sleeping on this section can't be too big. Okay. That's probably, if you're over 5, 6 years old. For my girls are crazy tall. So, that's probably it there. But think about where they're going to sleep. How comfortable is going to be. Think about those kinds of things to make sure that style is going to suit you. And again, we talk about a lot of it in this video right here. So hopefully that answers your question and gives you some extra things to think about. Let's see. I also tried it. The midship cleat, was able to loop it over the dock cleat. Yes, easier with the helper. Easier. He's talking about that spring line technique that we talked about. Let's see. Corey says, I have a 20-foot 4-blade, 14, 25, 19 pitch. Works well. V6 in mine. Staying with aluminum as the lake is rocky. Already killed 2 props. That's an experienced answer right there. Listen, stainless steel is going to give you a little bit better performance. It doesn't have as much flex, but you don't want to, it's 2-3 times as expensive. So if you know, hey, I can be as diligent as I want, but if I'm in 10 feet of water, and Brock talks about this in Lake Moultrie in South Carolina, where he does a bunch of fishing, is they flooded that before they cleared the trees. So there's 50-foot trees in this lake, and you're in 40 feet of water, and you see the top of a tree sticking out. Well, if you're in 40 feet of water and there's a 37-foot tree, you're not going to see that sucker. And let's say it's 2 feet around. Just by a shitty situation, you accidentally run right over that spot. Boom. You just damage your drive and your prop. And so you go with an aluminum. It's cheaper. It's easier to fix. You can send them out to have them rebuilt for very little, $100, not the $1,000 it's going to cost to get a new stainless prop and maybe damage your drive. So that is an experienced boater answer right there. That's killed 2 props, learned the lesson, sticking with aluminum. Survey is everything. 200 hours. Yeah, that's a good point also, Jerry. Surveys, 200 hours is nothing on those drives. Easily another 800 to 1,300 hours on those, and you'll, take good care of them, and you'll get that out of them. Need to look out for Hurricane Ian boats. Yes, that Boater Tom, exactly right. There are, I heard, well, actually, it was Boater Tom that told me this, that checks were starting to come out, that the dealers are starting to see the insurance checks come from Ian. What do you call that? Totaled boats. Boats totaled out. Here's your check for 50 grand, 100 grand. Go buy your new boat. And so what happens to those other ones that, they were sank or they were damaged, and somebody says, I'm going to patch that baby up. It's why I recommend, Boat History Report for somebody buying a used boat, especially in that area in the Gulf in Florida. But even those Florida boats are making their way up into the Midwest because people aren't thinking that, and they can buy a boat that's been damaged, and it can be a very problematic mistake. So I would definitely check that out as well. Thank you for adding that, Boater Tom. Let's see here. Tony Davis, welcome. That's a new name I don't recognize. All right. Tony, I'm going to come right back to you here. I see somebody made a contribution. Ralph Miller, thank you very much. So you're going to jump ahead of the line here. I have a 19 Scarab 195. Steering isn't great at slow speeds. Experience. I am not on the Scarab, but Ralph, I sold Yamahas before they were putting the thrust vectors on, before they were putting the rudder. That's what I'm looking for. Before they were putting the rudder system on theirs, and it makes a world of difference. It's an easy installation on the Yamaha. I would venture to say it's easy on the Scarab, although I don't know that 100% fact. But it is well worth it. And it does a couple of things. Is one, when that wind blows, you've actually got something in the water that's going to keep your back end from just sliding right across the water. So that's going to help. But then also you've got those fins that are going to help you steer a little bit, as the bucket steer. And I think they're done on the same way. Cobra Jet steering fins. I'm going to see if I can see a picture of these, but I would Yamaha Yamaha. Well, I'm seeing them all on Yamahas, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't attach the same way. But as your steering thrusts, now your rudders are going as well. And they're also, if you've got a 195, I think 195 is probably a single still. But now you've got two fins down in the water that's going to give you, at slow water maneuvering, it's going to give you better control. And it also keeps you from drifting on the stern as much. I don't know how much they are, $500 if you install them yourself by the looks of these. $200, $340. So if they're under $1,000, I think it's a no-brainer. Do it. It's going to be night and day. As an operator, it's going to be night and day for you, and well worth it, especially if you're in some windy conditions. Now, I will say this: if they have current, it's going to catch more current, right? because now you've got deeper down in the water, you've got those fins that can catch current. But for wind, the wind's coming from the top side and trying to move you across water. So the less you have in the water, the more the wind's going to move you. With current, the more you have in the water, the more the current's going to move your butt in. So if you're a windy area, 100% absolutely do it. If you're in a current area, I would still say you're probably going to be happier with it, but it does make the impact of the current more, just like it makes the impact of the wind less for the same reason. So hopefully that answers your question. Chime back in if you've got something else to ask if I didn't get that. And thank you very much for the contribution. Much appreciated. All right. So Tony, now we'll come back to you. Happy Sunday. Just purchased a 23-foot Tritoon, researching anchors, leaning towards the box anchor. Yes, that's my answer is get the box anchor. I have a Danforth and a box anchor. I was out on a 240 Sea Ray Sun Deck the other day on Friday. The box anchor was crazy heavy, which is it's probably a bigger box anchor than necessary. But I've got a and it was hard to pull up, right? So that's the one negative with the box anchors. It's a little bit heavier, and sometimes the storage on a V-hull boat's more difficult because of the length of it. Sometimes the Danforth, you really have to get them angled just right to get that to get the shaft down into the V so that it all fits. But with the Pontoon, you lay it out, it lays flat under one of the seats, and you're easy to go. But I've got a smaller box anchor that I used on a 23-foot chaparral the other day. And that I used on I was testing it on a, what was it? A 19-foot C Pro center console. And I had almost zero scope out. So I was almost 1-to-1, almost straight up and down, maybe 1.5-to-1. And it held that it was only a 19-footer, so it wasn't a heavy boat, and it was a C Pro, so not a heavy center console. But it held that thing on I mean, there was probably 7-10 mile an hour wind, with a T top, and it held that thing no problem. So if you want something that you just throw out and you don't have to think much about it, you really aren't going to make a mistake with it, then the box anchor is a no-brainer, easy decision to go. And they are super easy to get to stick. You don't need as much scope, so you're not going to swing in as big of a loop. And then maybe a little something off the back, depending on what your conditions are, to really help you. So I think you're on the right track is what I think. Holy crap, 10-foot beam. So that's going to give you a lot of roominess and a lot of roominess in the cabin. That extra width on these cruisers makes a ton of difference. And and like I said, who was that asked that question? Bradley. So Bradley, Jerry's the guy. He's got a 28. He's got a 28 Regal Express, and yeah, that's almost the 6 people comfortable. Wouldn't go more than 8, including kids. Kids, you can squeeze a few more of them in. They don't take as much space, and his has the generator as well on the 28. So the 32 with the 10-foot beam definitely does. And so that is a good recommendation from somebody with a similar boat up in saltwater, but on the Chesapeake. So he's up north. Let's see here. 2012 Centurion, average retail 62 versus BUC. Why the big discrepancy? The discrepancy is there's not very many of them out in the market is the discrepancy. So here's the thing. 2012, any All right. So in 2012, this number may shock you. Let's see if this is going to give me the. All right. So 157,000 units power boats. That was up 10% from 2011. Okay. So last year, there was about 300,000. So almost double the number of units of power boats. That doesn't include the 300,000 includes personal watercraft. I'm guessing this 157 does not. Personal watercraft's about 70,000 or so. So the comparable 230,000 to 160, we'll say. Or no, I'm sorry, 163, up 10%. Let's see here if they're going to give us wakeboard boats sold a healthy 13% increase, but they're not going to tell us the number. Nope, doesn't like that. All right. Well, spoiler alert, I can't find what I'm looking for, but here's the point is last year, so sales were up 10% for wake boats, and wake boats has been a growing segment since about 2008 or so. They've developed surf systems. They've made them into better surfing, wakeboarding boats, and that popularity has gone up over time. They only built 6,000 of them last year, which was 50-60% up from 2012. So you cut that down, that takes you down to, they built about 4,000, but now you take the drop, that's just from the market went up that much, and then the popularity has gone up significantly as well. So they probably only built 3,000 wake boats back in 2012. Coming off the recession, 2007, 2008, 2009 were way down years. The market was just growing up. The wake segment was just taking off. So let's say they built 3,000 boats. Centurion was a much, much smaller builder at that time than they are now. Nautique didn't own them yet. Correct Craft didn't own them yet. So they didn't have that infusion. They didn't have that dealer network. And I would venture to say they built less than 1,000 boats total. So now you think, okay, we have 1,000 boats total out there. How many of those sold in the last year or so? 100 of them are out of commission. They got damaged. They got salvaged. They sank. They blew up their engine. 100 of them are gone. Now there's 900. How many of them, let's say they flip every couple of years? There may have been 100 Centurions total sold 2012. And if you look, let's go to Boat Trader. So let's go to Centurion boats. How many Centurion boats? We are going to go. How many used Centurion boats are on the market? Any distance used. I bet less than 50. Oh, 150. All right. So 150 used Centurions. And let's go 2012. This is some of the stuff I'm doing. This is why I'm really getting into this. 3. Okay. So 3 used Centurions are on the market right now. That's it. 3. The SV23. There's an Enzo, another Enzo, and an Avalanche. So that's it. That's all that's on Boat Trader. There might be some on Marketplace. There might be some privates, but there's not that big of selection out there. So if JD Powers or NADA, they get theirs directly from people that subscribe to their service. They have to, a certain number of dealers have to report back. They also get it from banks that use their information. They report back their their purchase agreements, and they have a system where they report that back to NADA. BUC International, complete line of evaluation service, new pre-owned walk. So they are probably getting theirs from a similar, but I'm going to venture to say that they're not as detailed. Let's see what ABOS. So you've got ABOS, which is what it was called when I was selling 10, 15 years ago, is price digests. And so they're all going to vary. And the fewer units that are sold across the market over a period of time, the more variance you're going to get, because there's 3 for sale on the market right now. Well, let's say 20 of them sold over the last year. 10 got reported to NADA, 5 got reported to Price Guides, 5 got reported to BOC, and they have, and that's Centurions as a brand. That's not even the SV 2330, the 233. There were some Enzos in there. There were some Avalanche in there. And so it goes to which one does your lender use? Which one does the dealer use? And the answer is probably the dealer uses multiple. The lender probably only uses one. And so you have to do, it's not a science of, I look at this and that's the number. It's not like a Honda Accord where you're like, okay, well, 10,000 of them sold in the last 2 weeks. So I throw out the ones that were salvaged. I throw out the ones that had extra, and I take my 80% and I average them, and that's the value of that car. We don't have those type of numbers, and that's why you get the discrepancy. So I've been, for my used boat videos that I'm working on, I've been thinking through a lot of this stuff on how to show it. And this is one of the things that I wanted to show in those used boat prices videos, is that there's not as many boats out on the market as you might think. And so what I would do is I would look at 2011 and I would go to 2013 and see, all right, that gives us 10 boats. So now we can go and we can say, okay, the 24, we got a price from 87 to 70. The SV Enzo, 60,000 on a 2012 from Action Water Sports. Dealers are probably pretty reasonable. They've done a lot of research before they've set their price, and they want to move product. So their prices are in line. Not mean that you can't negotiate, KD Steel. You certainly can, but that's better than a private seller. Private seller or Pop Yachts, a broker. Look at that. I mean, they're 86.7 compared to 70 for a very similar boat. I don't know what the options are. I don't know what the conditions are, but what is that? Almost 18,000 difference. Well, this may be way out of line, so we'll throw that out. But a dealer is probably going to be in line, especially a wake dealer like Action, a G, which is an ad. A 22 is almost 70. And so what I'm doing is I'm opening it up a little bit, and then I'm also going to look at Malibu, and I'm going to look at Nautique, and I'm going to look at Mastercraft in a comparable boat. I'm going to see where does the market look, and I can zero in. I mean, because we got a $10, $15, $20,000 variance in your price right there between 62.1 and 45.50. So I'm gonna do some researching and kind of do some figuring in my head. I'm going to do some ballparking. I'm going to do some adjusting. The Avalanche, another SV is 60. So that tells me that 62 number might not, that's an 11, and they were a 13 for 60. That 60 number might be somewhat in line. A 2013 for 80, a private seller. It's amazing. Private sellers think their boats are really, really valuable. Dealers, hey, they know what the market's going to do, especially if they sell that brand. They got a pretty good sense for where it should be. So if I don't know about Action or about Silver Sands, I don't know what if they're Centurion dealers or not, but I would give a Centurion dealer a little bit more credibility on their price, that it's probably close to accurate to as a starting point. No, I'm going to negotiate from there. An SV 2013 78. So Ugly John's, I think I think they're in Oklahoma. They are a Centurion dealer, I believe. So we've got a pretty big range on prices too. So that's the nature of specialized boats. And the wake boats are 6,000, 7,000 of them sold last year. 6,500, I think, was the number. 3,000 of them probably sold in 2012 or so. Centurion was a small fraction of that, and they're not, all 500, 750. I don't know what they sold, but it wasn't over 1,000. I can guarantee you that. All right. I think I rambled on that one long enough. Hang on a second. Uh-oh. Tony, thank you very much. My wife just texted me. My wife gets really protective when people make comments on especially my Facebook. It seems like the people that post on Facebook are more rude and more I'm smarter than everybody else in the world and you're an idiot mentality. And so she takes a lot of offense to it. She just sent me a text of a screenshot that somebody sent. Anyway. Let's see here. Brock, let's see. Brock says, just got back from a family trip to Disney. What a bad day to, yes. My wife went up and picked up my oldest from West Virginia, and she picked her up right as the rain was hitting and had to drive 3 hours back. I know the Disney, the Orlando to Charleston drive is even longer, but yeah, that is a long way driving on 95 in the rain. So glad you made it home safe, though. Hopefully you had a good time in Disney. All right. Matt says, Ralph, I had a 19 Yamaha jet pilot thrusters, helped a lot. Probably can't get, yeah. Matt, I think you're 100% right. 100% right on that. Whoa, there we go. Slow speed handling was enhanced quite a bit. Yeah. And that's where I don't know that it's going to make a significant difference at speed. When I ran, and again, I was selling Yamahas. We picked them up in 2010 or 11. And so the first 2 years we had them, they didn't have them, but a lot of my clients were adding the jet boat pilot thrust vectors. Then they started putting them on they did a little different. They had a little rudder system that they used. It didn't make any difference at speed, but in slow water maneuvering, it made a significant difference, especially for my clients. So thank you for sharing your experience, Matt. I appreciate it. And I know Ralph does as well. Do you still have a jet boat? Going to reverse took me some getting used to. Yeah, here's my, and I've got the jet boat version on tap. I'm having just like the twins, I'm having a hell of a time getting the jet boat lined up to do the training. So I may need to move that to July. I keep pushing this back. And the wake boat will be a little easier, but I'm going to move that back to July as well. I meant to do that before this, but here's the thing about the jet boats is you can oversteer a lot. Your steering's just lock to lock. It's not like a stern drive or an outboard where you've got, 3-4 turns maybe to go from lock to lock. A jet boat is lock. And so it's a lot quicker. It's really easy to oversteer. I'm not sure that Scarab has it, but if there's a docking mode or a slow water maneuvering mode, use that. It makes a world of difference. It on the Yamahas anyway, it adjusts the angle of the bucket. So instead of the thrust all going directly out, getting too much speed, it angles them down. So you still have the forward and the reverse, but it limits it. So it's not as much. And then you put the bucket down for reverse and it's even smaller, but it's really easy to overcorrect. So just work on really small movements and a lot of out of gear if you don't have too much wind or current. And you can correct out, and that could make a big difference as well. And then like I said, the vectors are the fins will make a world of difference as well. Bradley, you're very welcome. No, traded it for a Chaparral SSI last year. Get used. Oh, okay. I was like, what the heck? That's a little side conversation, between Ralph and Matt. Yeah, and Matt, you're exactly right. And Ralph, it's like anything. Switching from a jet boat to a stern drive, or a stern drive to a jet boat, to an inboard to a stern drive to an inboard. There's a little bit of a learning curve. Just stick with it. Get some training. If there's somebody, I wish I had my jet boat version done and I could say get that. But just spend some time going out to get to know your boat. Go in as quiet of an area as you can and do some practicing. See what happens when you do different inputs. In my best boat captain, I go through 9 building blocks. It would be helpful. I've had people with jet boats that have done it, but I really want to do a jet boat specific one because there's just enough differences that it's going to be even more valuable for you folks. It's just not ready. But go out and practice, and you'll discover what oversteering feels like, when to pull back on the steering, when to pull back on the throttle, and it'll make a big difference. And Matt, thanks for sharing your experience. Tony, again, thank you for that contribution. Always appreciated. Just like the thumbs up, the likes, and the shares this time of year, that helps a ton. And the financial contributions are obviously how I'm able to keep this going for now. I think we're coming up on 2 years, maybe, that we've been doing these live. So, Dustin, just curious, is SunTracker XP3 150 running about 60 grand? Yes, I think it's 63 with their inflation buster pricing. Sun Tracker XP3 22. And they give their pricing right on their website. So they package all of theirs with the trailer, and they're at 51.9 on the 22 with the 150 and a trailer. So let's go. So prep, freight, delivery, we're at 54. And then I know a lot of them, we're going to go the 200. This is a painted trailer. If you're in freshwater, that's totally fine. If you're in saltwater, it is absolute no-go. Don't do it. It will be done in about 2 years. With the 200, it is 55.7. With the 150, it is about 52. And there's really not much else that you're going to add unless you're going to put some electronics on it. I think you can upgrade the trailer, but that's the add taxes to it. Add taxes to it and any gear that you want to put on, any extras, and that's where you're going to be. And I don't know if Brian Boyles is on, but he bought one a couple years ago up in West Virginia and is loving it, is out on it. Him and his grandson are catching fish and having a great time camping. I don't think they're camping on the pontoon. I think they've got an RV or a place that they're staying, but it's for that, it's perfect. It's perfect. And it allowed them to get a brand new boat with the warranty because at 54, let's see what I go to Harris because that's I sold them, so I know what their pricing is. But I think they give pricing on their cruise models, which is their value models. So go 23 is at 40,000. We'll just go all standard. Performance 1, which is going to be similar to the, and then a 150 4-stroke. And that gets us to, that's not right. Something didn't register there. $150. Well, 19. Something's not adding up there. 35, 40, 50. So that 49.3 is wrong. That, oh, okay, there we go. They got a big old discount on it. That seems really off to me. 49,000 for the Harris Cruise and 54 for the Sun Tracker. I feel if that's an accurate price, that's a better boat, but I feel like something's off there. Maybe I picked but anyway, so that's about as cheap as you're going to get a Tri-Tune with the 150 is 54. I'll have to dig into that Harris a little bit. That seemed that price should be about 60, 62 is where I would expect it to be from. And I built that boat a bunch before. That's why I know it's off. So anyway, all right. Boater Tom says, in shallow waters, manual anchor pole has proved to be a good option. $5,000 for the power pole, $100. Yes. Let's see. So as long as you're in less than 6 feet of water or so, you just, it's like, think about just putting a stake in the ground or a piece of PVC that if the ground is soft enough, or a spike or an auger, that you can just plug that baby in, tie off to it, and you're good to go. For $100, you are, and Tom says a 10-foot pole. I don't know what the length of this one is. That is at Bass Pro Shop. 8 feet. This one's 8 feet and $90. But you get that concept is now you stake that out if you're in 9 feet of water, and you can use that, and it holds real well. Some of them will have an auger depending on what your bottom looks like. Get that in, and you're good to go. Sylvan L3 Party Fish is running and out. A Sylvan N3 Party Fish is running and out of the 2. Let's see, Dustin. Okay, so let me see. I don't know if Sylvan pontoons. I don't know if Sylvan gives me a price or not. Sylvan is a better built boat. Okay. I would put Sylvan in the mid tier. I put Sun Tracker is in the value. You're saying an L3, so let's go L3 Party Fish. And I think the party barge and the fish are the same price. I don't think they charge anything extra. Performance package, yes, we want that with the 150. Now, if you build it with the Suzuki, it's going to be less expensive. If you have a good Suzuki mechanic, and the dealership that you buy from does a decent amount of Suzuki, it can be a good way to save a little bit. Let's see what that comes out. Keep your ads to a minimum if you want to keep your price down, unless you know you absolutely need it. Yeah, they're not going to give me a price here. I don't think. I don't see it anywhere. Nope. So it's going to be Let's see if for some reason they put it on the print out. My print driver got lost the other day, so I'm not 100% is going to give me the preview. Does not look like it. Dustin, it depends. I really get into in a situation like this. I ask the question, and if you get my toolkit, I ask this question in here: is what's your day on the water look like? But then I ask about what category of vehicle do you typically buy? And I ask that to get people thinking about what level they're going to be happy with. The best of the best. Well, if you buy a best of the best, you're not going to be happy with either one of them. There's going to be little things that are going to drive you crazy, and you want the badge, you want the brand of that you can pull up to the dock and they say, "Whoa, you got a Bennington," or "Ooh, you got a Barletta," or "You got a Harris," you got a premium brand. I don't care about that. I drive an old 07 F-150 with 140,000 miles on it. Runs great. Air conditioning, kicks, blows cold air, does everything I need. Paid off. It's good. I don't care about that. So I tend to put myself in the mid-tier category in a lot. The fastest, the sportiest, luxury models, the newest, the one no one else owns, middle of the road, the most practical, the best value, the cheapest possible, leftover model are good deals. Put yourself in one of those categories. And if you are the most value, then the Sun Tracker is probably going to give you the most value. A 22-foot with tri-tune with the 150. That's the part that matters. It's a good, safe boat. That's going to be the cheapest one you can probably find. The Sylvan, I would venture to say, is $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 more. And I would imagine that S model is or the L model. Okay, so stylish, luxury, value, versatile, superior handling, unbelievable ride. I'm going to say that the Mirage is probably their value line. So this Mirage is probably going to be the cheapest model that they build, okay? So if you were to look at this, if you were to look at the 8522 Party, a 22-foot boat, that's going to get your price down closer to the Sun Tracker. The L series that you're looking at is ultimate and versatility. Maybe that L series. It's hard to tell. Usually I can read the language and tell you which is going to be the most expensive. I would venture to say that this L is a step up from the Mirage, but I'm not. Let me look at it again. '82 Party Fish. And maybe you don't like the layout of this. The fence rails are the same. But anyway, the cheapest model, maybe a couple $1,000s more. That level up is probably going to be $7,000, $10,000 more. So it depends on what's important to you. It depends on how good the dealer is. Are you buying from Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop? Are they good? Is that particular dealer that you would go to good? Have their techs been with them for a while? Are their techs likely to stay? Because that's what's going to matter. If you're looking at the Sylvan dealer, is that Sylvan dealer that you're going to go to good? Do they support Mercury, Yamaha, Suzuki, or Honda? Which of those four motors are they most likely to have the best techs on, that are going to have the best availability and the most experience with that particular motor? That's the motor I would go with. And then I would make my decision based on that and what your personal preference is. Are you most boat for the money? Probably Sun Tracker. Hey, I want as much boat for the money as I can, but I need a little bit higher on the quality scale. Well, then probably Sylvan, if that Sylvan dealer is really good. And then the motor, we talked about that. So hopefully that's helps. There's a lot to it. Which one would I recommend? There's a lot of those variables. Oh crap, it's 10 o'clock already. I still got some questions, so probably at least a half hour. If you can be quiet, yeah. Okay. All right. We've got a guest sitter in, so if she has something to add, we'll let her add it. But okay. So if you ask something about Taylor Swift, she'll be able to answer it for you probably. All right. Sustainability. How you doing, Captain? Typical spring weather. 80s, 50 cloudy, rainy, and windy today. Yeah, that's about right. We got rained on here in the Carolinas as well. And even though my daughter and I were out power washing in the rain, if you come sit over here, you can be on camera. Grew up Federal Way, Lake Cheline a lot. I skipped right over Chad. From the Northwest, taking my boat to Lake Cheline soon. Pretty cool take. I included that one in my best lakes in the U.S. I don't remember which one, but I did this series on best U.S. boating lakes, and that one was in one of them. I don't remember which of them, but yes, beautiful for sure. For the first time last year, I don't know that one. I also like to do this, looking up. Oh my! Check this out. Let me go big screen on this. That is very pretty. My daughter is a fan. Come on, give me a big picture, somebody. Look at that. That's beautiful. That is, I mean, it looks like a painting. I don't know if that sailboat is really there, but these look like real rocks. Kelly's Resort. You start looking at other people's boats and where other people get a boat, and you start to get a little jealous. Now I've got amazing lakes here: Lake Wiley, Lake Norman. I boat on Lake of the Ozarks. We got the coast 3 hours away. We go to Lake Loudon in Tennessee, which is beautiful, and but we definitely don't have the mountains. My daughter is anti-mountain. She gets car sick, so she is anti-mountain for sure. All right. Had the kids, had a blast every time I drive home from there. Shane's gonna buy a rudder truck so I can do 120. It is 85. 95 is you've got either you're going 90 or you've got somebody that's going 55 in the left lane. And just straight line all the way through. And if you can get through Atlanta, there's another couple spots where there's inevitably construction, Greenville, and a slowdown. Is it Greenville? No, that goes on 85. But I've drove down to Jacksonville and to Orlando several times for different reasons, and that you always get stuck there. Let's see. I was a little skeptical in my call. My cell phone range, 25 miles, 25 once. Got excited. Yeah, when you can be out there, and as long as your boat's running good, you can be out there all by yourself, 4 other boaters, and that whole beautiful landscape to yourself. I'll give up cell service for that, and maybe a week at that cabin right there wouldn't be all bad either. Tracker doesn't include trailer in its extra 510K. Interesting. They stopped adding the trailer in there. Last year, I guess I haven't done this for a while. They don't include the mooring cover. All right, let me see here. We'll do the 24 Sportfish DX. No haggle. Build your own. Them sneaky people. 154 stroke. Inflation buster pricing savings. Oh, so yesterday I went and I drove around to all the dealers in the area. I have a pretty good sense for how much inventory they usually have this time of year. trailer. Ah, you're right. $5,000 for the trailer. Yeah, the other one, the Harris for sure didn't have a trailer. But that gets us up to the 60. Oh, and I also chose the DX. XP3. That's what I needed to do. All right, that gets me to the number I thought. 50 plus 5. Trailer 5,200 cover. You 6. Now you're okay. Now you're at 60. Yeah. That's what I thought they were at. That makes more sense. All right. For those who don't know, Lake Chelan is a 50-mile long, 150-mile natural lake, Washington, depth of 600 feet. Yeah, could you imagine 500 feet deep?
Oh,
I guess you're only gonna.
I thought you said 5 feet.
Oh no,
5
no,
to 40.
no, 500 feet, 500 to 600 feet deep. Yeah, that's a beauty as well. Chelan County.
That's how deep that is.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
by
that
the
is.
shore?
Huh?
Even by the shore?
No. I think if what was the one? There was one made by a crater, but this is obviously just water running off the mountains. Yeah, look at how pretty that is. All right. You know what we need to do? We need to go on a road trip of America and check out all these different lakes.
Why should we go on a road trip of America? I'm not coming if you do. Oh. I'm going to end up getting sick.
Okay. All right. We'll get you the relief band. All right. Let's see.
Did we bring that back?
They still have the gas dock and.
I would love to go to a water park.
Well, they got a. Oh yeah, you like that? Yeah. You like the water park? All right. Okay, I think we're coming up. On the end here. 211. I don't know. You got rained on. I know all that rain was coming over from Kentucky, I think. But hopefully you got out this weekend some. We got out Friday. We got out Friday afternoon. It was a late start. What time did we hit the water? 4?
We left at like 1, but we got there at like 3, and then we got on the boat by like 3:40ish.
3:40. Yeah, we had we are not super organized sometimes when we go last minute, and so we had to go get Jimmy John Jersey Mike sandwiches for the boat. We had to stop and get ice and drinks. We had to get gas for the van, I think. No, we didn't. What else did we stop for?
That's all.
That was it.
We stopped at the lake.
Okay, and then we had to get parked and unloaded and all that.
We had to figure out where to park. I don't know where we were.
Use Silverado. Don't need the top line. Something safe for the family. APR going up. Yeah. If you take care of the sun tracker, it's going to last, but it's going to have a lot more little ticky tacky things that have issues. Now the Sylvan, every boat's going to have things that don't hold together, that are going to break, that aren't really, really well done. The sun tracker is just going to have a couple of more. There are going to be a few things that are going to flex. The rougher the lake, the more I would go towards the Sylvan, or the rougher the body of water. If you're in salt, I wouldn't go with sun tracker at all. I would stay away from that in salt. It just doesn't have some of the little details. Matter of fact, I would probably only go premium if I was going to put it in salt, because they do things like plastic spacers in between metal parts. So you don't get electrolysis going on, which is really, really common on some of the cheaper boats. And the rougher the body of water, the more I would go towards that mid tier. So hopefully that helps you. 211, working a little late. Had to work in Tennessee. No good. Well, that pays for the boats, though. It pays for our fun stuff. All right, guys. Well, we are coming up on an hour and a half, 40 minutes. My daughter, I think, wants some dad time. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. Maybe she just wants to sit by me and stare at the camera. But anyway, thank you everybody. Thanks to Tony. And thanks to Ralph for the contributions. Very, very much appreciated. Thanks to all you regulars that keep coming out. Corey, Boater Tom, Brock, Jerry, Kings in the City, Ray, Rob has been here a bunch. And all you, Al has been on a bunch of times. Dustin has been with us the last several. Thank you guys all. I'm sure I missed a few people, but sustainability, 211, all you guys, thanks, appreciate it, and we'll catch you next weekend. Next weekend, are we going to be in Tennessee next weekend?
Yep.
Next weekend, I'll be coming live from Lake Loudon in Tennessee, and if the Wi-Fi reaches, I may try to do it down at the dock, or at least give you a lake view, because it's got a beautiful sunset if I can get all the way down to where I need to be. Have a good one. Take care, everybody.